My name is Owen Mwatia, aka Daddy Owen, aka Papa Fololo. I'm a gospel minister, and some call me a gospel musician, but for me, I believe I'm a gospel minister. And what does it take to be a man? I believe, number one, being a man for me, as a born-again Christian, I believe, is just knowing and doing the will of God and being sure of your purpose here on earth. The moment you know your purpose here on earth, you'll define things differently. And becoming a man or knowing who you are as a man is not about the muscles, masculinity, and all that. It's more about knowing the responsibilities and your purpose here on earth. So for me, the true definition of being a man is knowing your purpose here on earth and doing the will of God. That's me as Daddy Owen. That's my belief of who you are as a man.
Good evening. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to the best show in Eastern Central Africa, south of the Sahara and north of Limpopo, by way of Buhalalire Busia. And this is the All Man Show. Well, today I have a great man in store for you. But as we always say, this is not a show for perfect men. It's a show for great men who want to be better tomorrow than they are today. We do hope you'll be inspired. You'll be convicted. You'll be mentored. You will be blessed. And you'll come out saying, what a great show, because you've learned a lot. Well, this is the time I need to introduce my guest. Many of you know him as Papa Fololo, aka something. He has so many AKAs he'll tell us. Daddy Owen, karibu sana.
Oh man.
Oh man.
Amen.
Amen. Ebu, tell us all your AKAs.
Daddy Owen, aka Papa Fololo, aka Uncle Mutulele, aka Lino Le Pepino, aka Mokoto Nanga for chasing away the evil spirit.
And this is AKA Show Ya Wanaume. Hey, Daddy.
Moto.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
It's an honor that you accepted and honored our invite.
No, I appreciate being here, man.
Asante.
I appreciate it.
Ata, before we go very far, who is Daddy Owen?
Daddy Owen, my real name is Owen Mwatia, and I'm just a villager who came to Nairobi many years ago. And of course, after all that, I became a gospel minister, and here I am.
Okay.
And so many people know me as a gospel minister, musician, a teacher, and all that. But I think it's easy to say I'm a gospel minister.
Right.
Yeah.
You've said you came to Nairobi some years ago.
Yeah.
You came from where?
From Kakamega.
And when in Mluya?
Yeah, I'm in Mluya kutoka Kakamega. I'm from Kakamega. I grew up in Kakamega, in a village called Eshisiru, St. Mwogo. Eshisiru. The stage into St. Mwogo. The place used to be known to produce a lot of cassavas. So, unajua kama kuna stage kisa, sijui stand nini, so it is St. Mwogo because inajulikana mostly for producing a lot of cassavas. And I went to Nabongo Nursery.
Mumias?
Nabongo Nursery is in Kakamega.
Okay.
Then from there, I went to Kakamega Primary School from class 1 to around class 4 or 5. Then from there, I went to Eshisiru Primary School.
You know Eshisiru, what it means in Kiluya?
I know what it means.
Please tell the viewers, because it's just crazy.
It's amazing because our school used to be called Eshisiru Primary, and neighboring school used to be called Ebuchinga Primary.
Ebuchinga.
So, yeah. So Eshisiru means stupidity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Eshisiru is a stupid, and is more of stupidity. Ebuchinga is more of foolishness.
Yes.
So Mundu Msiru in Kiluya is a stupid person.
Yes.
Mundu Mchinga ni mtu mjinga.
Yes.
So it's more of Eshisiru and Ebuchinga Primary School.
So you went to Eshisiru until class 4-5 there?
Yeah, so I went to Eshisiru from there to class 8. Then I went to Chebiusi High School, which is in Navaholo area, Bunyala area in Western region. Then from there is when I came to Nairobi, and I went to Air Travel and Related Studies Center.
Okay.
Yeah, for I used to do more of air ticketing and all that.
But before you came to Nairobi,
Yeah.
of course, you have siblings.
Yeah.
Because before I get to Daddy Owen,
Yes,
the
yes,
one
yes.
that we know,
Yes.
I would like to take my viewers into a journey.
Yeah.
Because we are seeing you right now, the
Yes,
glamour,
yes.
the big personality.
Yes.
But take us through that journey.
Yeah.
Siblings.
Yeah. For us, my dad had 2 wives. Of course, it's just a common nini in the Luya land, and we grew up 8 kids in one house, and it was interesting because for me till today I still feel growing up in Ushago made me to become who I am today, and I really appreciate it because it's more of you are raised by the whole village. It's not like my aunts used to wanapiga kupata kwa barabara umekosa kiboko, you understand? It's more like the whole village take care, the whole society
takes care of you.
You understand? And they can discipline you anytime when they want. And we were many, and these are things that you discover later that we were not well off. But at that time, it's the only common denominator in the village or in the area that everyone survives. But you see, at that moment, you don't look at it as surviving. You look at it, this is the normal life. And all of us, you are affected by our environment. And what you see in your environment, sometimes you take it or perceive as the only reality that exists in the world. So we come from a very humble background, but it's only that's the only thing you can discover when you're exposed to other things. But at that moment, at that time, we never saw it as maybe we are lacking anything. Mm-hmm. So in the family of 8, we are 4 boys and 4 girls.
When you say 8, is from your mother or both mothers?
Both mothers.
Okay.
So our firstborn, she's called Princess Mito. Secondborn is Rafton, Roy Smith Motia. It's called Roy Smith Motia. That's his real name, but we know him as Rafton. Then I'm the thirdborn. Then our fourthborn, she's called Joyce. Fifthborn, he is called Fidel. Sixthborn, of course, Jackie. Seventhborn, Joyce, another Joyce. And then the lastborn, he's called Larry. So I come from a very big family, but I remember growing up in Chags, it was fun. It was fun. Nowadays I see everyone is, we can say, modernized, or because of life challenges, we always tend to look for only 1 or 2 kids. But for us, we were 8, and I think it was fun growing up in a big family.
It's true. I mean, mimi niko na mmoja. I don't know if you're hitting at me, but it is fine.
Sijiongelelei.
And it's true. For me, I think my biggest regret is that at this stage I don't have more children. I wish I had me like too. 5.
No, me too. As in, if you ask me, and we can have like a candid conversation, I wish I had kids when I was still very young.
Yes. Yeah. Kama wangapi hivi?
Of course 4. For me ningena kama 4. Singe mind. You understand? If I was very young, 5 simba. 4 sawa. Because when you're very young, it's easy for you to grow with your kids. But yes. the more you're growing older, it's a huge challenge. I wouldn't want to be 65
and attending Parents' Day for primary school.
You get, yeah?
Yeah.
I wouldn't want that. You don't know what is in future, but you don't know how life will take you to that level. But that is not my wish. My wish was, by the time I'm 30, I will have done so many things when it comes to getting married and having kids and all that. But I delayed until I was around 35 is when I got married.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, 8 kids raised by the society.
Yeah.
You understand? You are the third born.
Yeah.
A sister and a brother just ahead of you.
Yeah.
And finished Ebuchinga,
Eshisiru
school, primary school.
Yeah.
And then you went to which?
Chebuyusi,
yes. Yeah. But what brought you to Nairobi then?
My dad used to work in Nairobi.
Okay.
And him being a contractor in Nairobi, the only thing that at that time that was famous, it was more of the most parents at that time, they used to think as when you finish Form 4, the first thing you need to do is just to migrate to urban areas and look for kibarua. You understand? But if it's not Kibarua, maybe you can go and maybe go to a college or university and all that. So it was the norm at that time. Everyone, after Form 4, you move from the village. So we came to Nairobi, all of us, my sister, my bro, me, and it was the norm. Everyone, after Form 4, you go to Nairobi. So when we came to Nairobi, I came to Nairobi after Form 4. And of course, the first thing I wanted to do was to go, because I didn't perform very well in Form 4.
Okay.
So I didn't qualify to go to a university. So it was more about now, after that, I joined either a college or something. And when I joined the college, I didn't maliza kabisa because there was issues here and there about school fees and all that. So it was on and off. Sometimes you're in, sometimes you're out. So after that is when now I wanted to find my way. You know, it's challenging when right now we see our kids knowing what they want to be. And like us, is it that we didn't know what we wanted to become, or did we know but we were naive to explore? Because me, after high school, I knew exactly I wanted to be a footballer and more of, I paint a lot, I draw and all that. I wanted to explore more in the arts, but I was not more into music at all. My bro was the one who was doing music. But it's more like, it takes you like 5 years to find who you are or what defines who you are. So those are the challenges that I think either that generation went through, or even right now people are still struggling with. Most of the kids come out of school not knowing what they want to become or what they want to do in life. And then by the time you realize, you find that already you know stories about football, as in football, more so if you are talented here in Africa, you need to start like doing your professional career at around 17, 18,
much
19
earlier,
years.
yes.
You understand? And you see, that's the biggest challenge, because here at 17 you're still in Form 3. So it's really challenging, because
pressure,
even right now,
taboo.
yeah, even right now we are seeing young kids playing in the Euros who are 16, 17, 18 years. So it's challenging. It's challenging. So by the time you're getting out of Form 4, there's no one who is defining who you are, or someone to nurture your hidden talent, or even you yourself, you're not exploring more with what you think you're good at.
Right.
Maybe you're naive because you've come from the rural areas, but those are the conversations that we need to have moving forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you came to Nairobi.
Yeah.
Great footballer. Did you play for your high school team?
Yeah. Okay. It's very tricky. When I was in high school, when I was in primary, I was very good in football. But when I joined high school, the fascination at that moment was basketball more than football.
So ukaenda kucheza bake.
Sasa nikaenda kucheza bake. And bake was still new, and we didn't have so many people who can play it. So it was more of, do you want to concentrate more on basketball or football? So I did more basketball than football.
All right.
But deep down, I knew I loved football.
Footballer. So then you come to Nairobi.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And thank you for giving us that journey, because many people don't know Shisiru, Epuchinga, all those things.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you come to Nairobi. Okay. You came to do air ticketing?
Yeah. I joined air travel and related studies. And I was in that college on and off. It was more of, today I'm in.
Why?
3 months. Because of school fees.
School fees. Okay.
Yeah, school fees.
All right. And then you got frustrated, of course.
Of course you get frustrated, because number one, you want to know who you are. You are at that very tender age of trying to define. You know, for us men, at that time I'm a boy, converting from becoming from boyhood to now becoming a man. It's a very thin line. You understand? Because you feel like you know a lot. You feel like you're better off. You feel like you want to move to this stage very fast. And then you forget that moving to this stage comes with a lot of responsibilities, come with a lot of guidance and all that. So if your environment, the people who needs to be around you are not careful, you might end up connecting to anything that comes your way. You understand? It's like if you leave your Wi-Fi open, anywhere you go in any restaurant, you understand?
Yeah.
You can connect to any that comes your way. And of course, you're being warned every now and then. There are Wi-Fis which are good and others which are bad.
Virus, okay.
Yeah. So you need to be very careful at that age, because that's your tender age to define who you are.
Did you connect to the wrong
Of course,
Wi-Fi?
As a young person, I connected to the wrong password, wrong Wi-Fi, and it was a big mistake. Those are the things that till today I still regret the moves I made.
What was that move that you regret?
Yeah, it's more of you feel like you want to fit in. You just come from the village, and you want to look like exactly like the boys who are raised in Nairobi, because you feel like if you don't behave like them, if you don't walk like them,
you will not fit in.
Dress like them, you won't fit in, and you'll be left behind. And sorry, my ring back inashinanga ikilia, and everyone says it's annoying. Na mimi nashinda kutoa, but
wacha connect to the wrong Wi-Fi.
Nime connect to the wrong Wi-Fi. Wacha nitoe tu saa hii.
It is okay.
Alafu tuende na story. So the biggest issue that one thing that I did is I really wanted to fit in so fast.
Right.
Fitting in is not wrong, but it depends on how you're doing it. So I wanted to fit in so fast, and of course you meet people who of course will welcome you very fast.
Yes.
Yes.
And not necessarily
not
to a good house.
Yes, not to a good house.
Okay.
You understand? So, and even for them, if I go back right now, I can't blame them, because even for them at that moment, they are looking for
acceptance.
The same thing all of us were looking at. Because you find that sometimes when you grow up in a different hood, and then when you're young in that hood, you don't see as maybe you're struggling and all that. But when you're exposed, when you go to high school and then you start meeting different people from different backgrounds, then you discover, we are not well off. We come from, you understand, yeah? And then you start wishing for more. So when all you guys come and meet together and you discover, okay, my parents raised me well and all that, yeah, but right now I want to look for more and become rich faster. What do I need to do? There are so many ways, you understand? But the problem is, at that age, no one is ready to be patient to do something that will bring you money in future. You feel like, I want to become rich now.
So you want the prize, but you're avoiding the process.
The process.
Okay.
No one is ready to walk because I don't know if you're not ready or you're waiting for someone to guide you on the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're one of the guys, of course, you entered a house that you're very much welcomed,
yes.
But it wasn't the best house.
It wasn't the best house.
It was full of people who really wanted the prize and not the process.
Of course.
What did that house have in store for you?
Of course, the house had so many things that at that moment I thought they were good, but they were not.
Like what?
And it was more of money. You want to make money easily. Someone shows you money, but they tell you, I want to send you for you to go and get your own money. So, of course, you meet guys. At that moment, you can't call them, you can't put a tag on them, because they're nice people. They're very good people. They're your friends. And even the things that they do at that moment, it's hard for me to narrate their stories. But the things that they do, the things that we did, it was shocking. It was really shocking. It was shocking. So I met some friends, and they were like, of course, that at that time you see guys with nice sneakers, Fila, those days,
Reebok.
Fila, Reebok, you understand? And you're like, even me, Asics, even me, I want a new one. And then they tell you, if you want a new one, come on, kuoneshe pale tunaweza enda. So eventually, they don't tell you, today we're going to do this. You just find yourself in a mix of something that you didn't know what was happening.
All you wanted were good sneakers, Reebok.
You understand? And eventually, when you're in the mix with them, let's call an event, when you go to an event with them, what they do at that moment, you guys run off laughing because the adrenaline and all that, and you're young and you're funky and all those things. You feel like, hey, that was a cool thing that we did. But eventually, this is a monster. You start by snatching. Tulianza kuiba kofia.
Hold on to that thought.
Yes.
He came to the big city to make something out of his life. Well, he knocked on doors. He wanted the prize. But did they really want the process? And then some doors in some houses were open. Well, after the break, we'll get deeper. This is the Old Man Show. And I have Papa Fololo, a.k.a. who?
Oncle Mutulele.
Oncle Mutulele.
Yeah. Mzee mwenye pamba nzito.
Mzee mwenye pamba nzito afukuzaye shetani. See you after the break. Uncle Mutu, his name is Msewa Pamba gani?
Kuna nyepesi ama nzito, unataka gani?
Pamba nyepesi na pia ni nzito at the same time. I'm here with Owen, otherwise known as Daddy Owen, like most of you know him. Is giving us his journey. From the village, family of 8, he's the third born. Played football, played basketball. But he came to the big city where the lights are there, the roads and all these things are there, trying to make something out of his own life. But well, what happened? Daddy Owen,
Yes.
you got into this house.
Yes. So it starts small, yeah? The introduction is, it's more of, you start small. You start
Right.
na kuiba. You know those days that kuiba watu kofia ilikuwa a big deal.
Yes.
You understand? Then mnafika kwa watch, necklace, such things. But what I normally tell people is the way the Bible says, yeah? If you give the devil a foothold, akiingia, it's a monster.
Completely.
So that's how what happens, yeah? This thing becomes a monster. And a monster that you have to feed each and every day. Because the appetite grows, the appetite grows, the appetite grows. You come from being a kleptomaniac to now demanding for more and more things. And eventually you find yourself to a level whereby you don't know what are the boundaries that this is where you need to stop. This is where I need to cut off this monster. Because each and every day you feel like, I didn't do enough yesterday. I can do more. So the appetite grows. And eventually you find yourself to a level whereby you become one of the newsmakers you see on news. You are a candidate to become a newsmaker.
Umesema mlikuwa mnaiba makofia.
Yeah.
There's that stealing, pinching,
Yes.
when nobody's watching.
Yes.
But I remember when I was growing up, there's a time I was at Kenya Cinema with my big brother, may he rest in peace. Yeah. And I saw like 4 guys coming into somebody, wakamchocha na wakamnyang'anya.
Yeah.
Is that what you used to do?
Gatero, yeah, of course. That's what we used to do. And at that time, it was fun because you say today you're going to town on a Sunday afternoon after kulungana F2, jam session.
Jam session.
After jam session, today tunaenda kupiga tero wase. So you are like, we must come back home with like kofia 10, necklace 5.
Za kuvaa ama za kuuza?
Za kuuza. Because you know an original hat and you're like, ama kofia, and you're like, in your Rigi Adidas baseball cap and all that. And you're like, I have to get it and then I'll go sell it off. You see, the thrill at that moment is not about the money. The thrill is about that process of doing it. That's...
Yes.
You understand? It's like a demon that is in you. You're more of a sadist than...
And you're feeding that demon.
Yeah.
Did your family know you're doing all this things?
No. I couldn't allow, because at that moment I used to live mostly, it was like the last era of living with my dad, and then I started living with my brother. And I respect my brother so much. So there are things I couldn't do, I wouldn't want him to know, because it's more of, it's not like a day job that you wake up in the morning and go, you understand? It's a moment, it's an event. It's something that you just do in less than 15 minutes, you're done. So it's really hard for someone to trace where you are, what you're doing, you understand?
So from the hat, the necklace, did it graduate?
Of course, it graduates to now all of you guys being introduced to a master, and a master. You understand? And every master has his own gang. And these gangs, of course, they are goals. Everyone has a goal of what they want to achieve. And the more you meet the gangsters, the more you meet the masters and all these things change in your life. And you become a different person. And those are things that I regret till today. I never narrated this story like to glorify the life that I lived, but it's more of a regret, part of the regrets that I look back and I say, why did I do it?
There's a young man listening to you, watching you right now.
Yeah.
And he said it graduates, the adrenaline rush.
Yes.
You started with kofias and necklaces,
yes.
But you didn't know this thing would suck you in.
You never know. And it's a span of like 1 year. I moved from kofia to being a real gangster.
Real gangster.
Yeah. A span of like 1 year, not even like 5 years.
Help me and the viewers.
Yeah.
What is a real gangster?
A real gangster is someone who has a plan, and they. How do I put it? You know, when you're outside, it's really hard to tag someone and give them a name. But when you're from the inside,
You understand?
yeah, you get my point. Yeah? It's really hard for you to call yourself a
Okay,
certain.
so
a
you're a
certain
real
label.
gangster.
Yeah.
Okay, kunyang'anya mtu kofia,
Yeah.
mnamnyonga, mnamconfuse,
Yes.
chain mnatoa, mnatoka mbio.
It's a bad thing. But
Yes.
you see, for us at that moment, that was
Okay, but now
child's play.
Yes, now when you're going from rank
yes,
and
yes,
rank.
yes,
So that because even the people who snatch kofias,
yes,
for the guys on the outside,
Yes.
those are still gangsters.
that's I'm telling you.
But for you on the inside at that time,
that's child's play.
so then tell me
Yeah.
and tell our viewers, what does a real gangster entail? Does that mean unabeba kitu?
Real gangster is now, you guys have a plan, you have a mission. You don't wake up in the morning and just go to town and that's such just snatching kofias and watches. Real gangster is now, you're talking about planning, talking about millions, money, jewelry, such things. Now that's different. Real gangster talks about, now you have the choir master who directs you, wewe utafanya hii, wewe utafanya hii, wewe utafanya hii. Now that is real. That's a different ball game altogether. You understand? You talk about, today we're going to look for a matatu. There's a plan, you've already done a plan with the driver, with the conductor.
Is it?
And all this. There's so much going on out there that people don't know. And
Unataka kusema, sometimes when people say, okay, those days, that they were carjacked, for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
and the matatu was commandeered to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
In some cases, the driver and the makanga are involved in it?
one of them must. You can't do it without one of them knowing.
How? You give them a cut, of
plan.
course.
It's a plan. It's something that you have to plan. You just don't wake up in the morning and decide we're going to the stage and then we'll look for a matatu and go in. No. It's a plan. It's a well-calculated move.
There's an insider.
Of course. You can't do it without an insider. That's why let me tell you a very interesting fact. In an estate kama Maringo, they discovered that thing. And what they did, mathri zote za Maringo zilikuanga mathri, you know those mathri iko na kichwa na iko na body.
Yes, yes, yes.
That is a math that you can't carjack.
Why?
Because there's no coordination. Si driver amekaa peke yake huko mbele. Sasa
Na passengers wawili.
Sasa ukiingia huko mbele utacoordinateje nao wengine wako nyuma? It's impossible.
Right, okay.
Because the coordination should come from the guy who sits in front there, another guy sits hapa katikati, another guy sits behind, na mwingine atakuwa kwa stage.
Let me ask you something, and
Yeah.
I've just thought about as you're speaking.
Yes.
Is there a way mumeplan na makanga
Yeah.
na derea jui?
Yeah. It's possible. You just need one person. You don't need both.
So you got into that level.
Yes.
The trauma you put people through, I mean, is very traumatizing. Does that mean then, as you're going up the ranks, kuna ka coldness inaingia? Because imagine umeingia matatu, there's a lady there with a 3-year-old. There's an old man there. There's an old woman there.
One event I remember was that that was one weird moment. Nilingia mathri, we entered in a matatu and we decided this is a matatu that we want to hit. But the problem, when I entered like this, I saw another man who was there and I knew who the man was. Alikuwa buda ya beshte yangu. And I was like, no way. I can't. Because the person who was heading the mission on that day was a very crude person. Was a loose cannon. And you know each other. And I knew on that day anything can happen.
Meaning somebody can lose their life.
Yeah. So, of course, I raised an alarm and I told them, I just used my language. I told them, I've seen someone who I know who is a cop. Which was not. He was not a cop.
So, mission aborted.
Yeah, mission aborted.
Then, of course, you went through this part, because I also want to get to the glory part of your life. As you said, we are not here to glorify your
Yeah,
past.
Yeah,
but it's just a way of warning even the young people.
I get you. Even the stories I've shared is like, it's a very small part of the whole thing.
But of course, it's any young boy watching.
Yeah.
Don't get sucked in. It starts with the heart and the necklace, and by the time you're realizing, the monster has sucked you in.
Very fast.
So there's a time, of course, you went to do another mission.
Yeah.
And things went wrong.
Yeah, things went wrong.
How wrong? And what happened?
I remember very well, yeah. There was a guy who was leading the mission, yeah. We decided to go, there's an event on Gong Road. And this event at Gong Road, ilikuwa natoka beats of the season. Ilikuwa inafanyika every year, I think. There was a time they brought Lucky Dube, the time they brought Awido Longomba or something. It was a very huge event. So during events, it's easy to do such things because most of the guys after that, they're drunk, you know, all those things, yeah?
Yes.
So the plan was to hit a matatu, and the event was at Impala grounds. The plan was to hit a matatu that was coming from Gong Road to town. Understand? But what we forgot on that day was that the matatus, when there's an event, when there's a big event, you'll find a matatu from Buru coming all the way to Gong Road on the event place or the venue.
To pick people.
Matriz the South B zitakuja paka hapo, matriz za Buru zitakuja paka hapo. Because watu ni wengi. Because they feel like we'd rather come all the way, pick guys. I don't know if it happens nowadays, but those days, that's what used to happen. You find matatu ya Buru, instead of going to town, it comes straight to the venue. And start shouting Buru, 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 and then guys come in.
Yes.
So the biggest mistake that happened, the guy who was leading the mission that day, yeah, alitupromise tunachukua ma3 ya Ngong Road. So we saw the matatu, we entered into the matatu.
How many for a matatu job?
A matatu mostly is 4 or 5 people.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we entered the matatu, the guys discovered something. Till today, I've never known exactly what happened. Number one, what I discovered is when we were inside the matatu was not Matatu Yangong Road, the matatu was Matatu South B. It just came all the way to that guys from Impala to South B. So the biggest mistake that happens, of course, they can only to announce. Now it's a mission, kila mtu, kama kuna nini nyamazeni, you know those things. Of course, the person in front there, kazi yake ilikuwa ni kuzima mziki. Kwa bendera zimemziki, kisha zima mziki, then someone atashout huku nyuma, what's happening and all that. So the problem was, I think some of the guys discovered something that I didn't know. So when there was a small commotion, I thought the mission had started. So I started my own work.
Which was what? Piga watu wangumi? Kwa stua?
Hapana, si kuambia kila mtu atoe simu, watch nini, you know those things, eh? And then you hand over. But time I was expecting someone to pause the music. I felt like there was a commotion before the music paused. So of course nikaanza kazi. But the biggest mistake that happened, I was not the person who was carrying the instrument. So
of course, instrument, you're not talking about a guitar.
Okay. So the guys discovered, and then the guys discovered, of course, I was all alone.
Kotandikwa?
Yeah, I was all alone.
How bad was it?
It was really bad because I lost one of my eye, and that's a mark that I live with forever, because I know it's something that right now, if I look back, I feel like it was a turnaround moment. But guess what? It was not my turnaround moment.
You still went back?
No, I thought I'd go back. My turnaround moment happened when I was in hospital.
But let's go back. Mm-hmm. Somebody accosted you. Watu wengine wakamsaidia. Where are your partners?
That's what I'm saying. Walitoka kwa ma3 when they discovered.
Walikutoka sasa?
Yeah, walitoka. Mimi siku get the signal because mimi nilikuwa kwa backbench kabisa. So one thing that till today I don't know if they saw a cop inside the mat3 or someone alarmed them of something that was going to happen, because all of them walishuka. I was the only one who was left.
At that time, did your life flash in front of your eyes? Did you think?
But death? Of course, because you see, at that moment, I remember very well. Ilikuwa bomb blast opposite kulikuwa na Bekazini. hapo around hapo. Sasa hiyo bekazini.
Walikutoa nje wakakupigia nje.
Of course.
And all of a sudden
the watchman came. The hardest part was when the watchman came na marungu akanipiga magoti, ankles.
You couldn't move.
That's the first thing they do. So you can't move. So of course now it becomes mob injustice. There's no justice there.
The Joan, when we talk about this mob injustice, people don't give up until they know that person is done.
Yes. One thing that was very amazing was it was at night. It was late at night. Remember, this is an event. It was late at night. And at that moment, when they hit me, they were like, huyu yake imeisha. Yeah, I just say I was lucky because it was not during the day. Because if it was during the day, can you imagine there
would have been more people?
More people, more weapons, more...
So they thought maybe they've left you for dead?
Yeah.
Who took you to hospital, or how did you get to hospital?
It was very interesting because after that, I just had to go home.
You have lost your eye?
Yes. I went to the hospital the next day.
Now you went to your brother's house?
I was still living with my dad.
Now let me ask you, you enter the house.
Yes.
I mean, losing an eye is not like losing a nail.
Ask my brother, will tell you when he opened the door who he saw.
Roy Sasa?
Yeah.
What did he see?
He was just shocked. What is happening here?
Because you're bleeding?
I'm bleeding all over. But you see, at that moment, no one knew it was that bad. It didn't look that bad. My eye didn't look messy to that level.
You could still see?
No.
Oh.
You can't. And even for me, I just thought maybe I've just been hit. And then for a while, it's just a...
Ufura.
And then for a while, I'll start saying. But when I went to the hospital, is when they told me, hey, this is bad. This is bad. And I remember very well, after the operation, the doctor just told me, unfortunately, you're going to lose one eye.
Did your partners in crime come to see you?
That was my turnaround moment.
No one came?
Because the moment they didn't come, my only brother, the only person who used to come to the hospital at that time was only my bro. And that's when I discovered I'm all alone.
To anybody watching, I think this is a clear indicator. Crime does not pay. When things hit the fan, they all disappear.
All of them. Until today, that's what I'm saying. Until today, I don't know exactly why they came off the matatu.
Tell me about that Damascus moment. You said the turnaround. And there's somebody watching right now who is ameiba mathirimbili tatu.
My turning point was there, that moment. When because I saw so many things. I lost so many of them. During missions, we lost so many.
Death.
Yeah. But it never hit me the way this one hit me. It's weird. It's not like what people think. I saw so many of my friends dying. But this one hit me so hard because I think it was more of a clear revelation that, man, you are here alone.
Is that when you gave your life to Christ?
That's when I decided, no, man, this is enough. I remember very well one day I had come from Kikuyu Eye Hospital. I went home and there's this guy called Hariji. He prayed for me. He was like, you just need Christ. And at that time, my brother is already born again.
Where is Hariji right now?
Hariji is just doing missions around the country.
Hariji, tunasema ni asante ulituwezea kukuwa na huyu mchungaji.
That guy preached to me for like 5 years.
Hariji, may God bless.
Never
Hariji.
give up.
Now tell me, Owen, so you come back home. Of course, your dad is disappointed. Like, you mean you used to do these things? Was the relationship between you, your dad, and your siblings, your sisters, was it strained?
It was not strained because, to be very honest, no one knew what I was doing.
So they were in shock, more or less?
They were in shock. Because one thing I know about myself is, weirdly, I was not into drugs.
Okay.
I was not taking alcohol. I was not smoking cigarettes. So it's really hard to tell if I'm straying away.
Okay.
Because during the day, I'm just a clean person, very, very good person.
All right. Crime does not pay. He was in the hospital bed. Only his brother would come. The partners in crime were nowhere to be seen. But of course, there was a guardian angel called Hariji who led him to Christ. Well, after the break, let's get to the glory part. This is the O Man Show. See you on the other side of the break. every once in a while in our life, we come to a place where it is us and ourselves, for lack of a better word. And that's a moment where you have decisions to make. You look at yourself and have a conversation with the man and the woman in the mirror. You have to make tough decisions. You must walk away from some places. And for my guest today, Mr. Daddy Owen, had a moment with himself. This is when he lost his eye. The doctor had to tell him after surgery. Unfortunately, this is a permanent thing. But what happened? Some of the people who were with him doing crime, none came to see him actually, only his brother. That's when blood is proved to be thicker than water. Along the way, as he was making this decision, he met a man called Harry G, who led him to Christ. And now, you have said, yes, Lord.
Yeah.
Here I am, use me.
Yeah.
But before that, there was no music.
There was no music.
Hata kisecular haikuwa naimba.
At all.
Okay. So, and you have told us in primary,
Yeah.
it was about basketball, it was
Yeah.
about football.
Yeah.
You didn't mention music. So
At
how did music come in?
It's very interesting. Yeah? I had a conversation the other day and I was talking to someone and I asked them, in life, I think people who inspire you, sometimes they star some things in your life that you didn't know you have. I always give an example. It's just the same. Nimekuza mwana ya kunywa chai ukasema unasikia ina sukari. As in life is like that. Sometimes you find that all of us can be given, like you can be having 4 people here and they were given tea na imekuwa kikombe. And maybe sugar imekuwa chini and no one stirred the sugar to make the tea tasty.
Right.
And maybe there's just that moment when someone will come and stir the tea and make you feel like there's sugar in, you understand? Or there are others who will realize their potential when ushaikunywa chai ukafika chini ukapata kulikuwa na sukari. Yeah. So sometimes people's life is like that. You might discover your potential when you're already too old or when you're already too late, when you already finished the cup, the tea in the cup. Or you might stir it slowly until you find the taste in the tea. Or una stir haraka and then you watch now and then the sugar decants huko chini. So for me it was more of, I didn't know my potential until my brother stirred something in me. I didn't know I can become a musician. But I knew my brother was to be a musician when we were still in high school. He was already active musically. And interesting that me and my bro, we share so many talents together, because I remember in primary school and high school, we always used to become number 1 when it comes to painting competition. And just to rubber stamp that statement is, when he was in Form 4, there was a competition called, I think, Marshals. At that time, Marshals were the agents of, do we call it, is it Peugeot or Peugeot? Peugeot.
This one unasema Peugeot.
Yeah. So Peugeot, at that time, the agents were Marshals. So there was a competition called Marshals Paint and Win. And my bro was number 2 across the nation.
Whoa.
In Form 4. And for me, when I figured Form 4, there was a competition called Kiwi Paint and Win. And I remember I was number 1 in the whole country when it comes to painting. So all of us who share the same talents, but it needs someone to star that talent and make you realize your potential. So my bro is the one who starred the music part or the music side of me. I remember when he was recording his album, one day he told me, let's go to the studio. So reaching there is when he was asking me questions. How do you feel this? Can I sing it that way? Do I do this and all that? And then RK Mwanabuja,
yes,
was like, you know so much about music, but you don't sing. How come? And then I was like, I've never even tried. And he was like, jump in, do something. And I recorded something. And it was featured in his first album. And from there, henceforth, I discovered, I can become a musician. And that's how my talent was. Because remember, even in high school, of course, it was more of, you're just doing it in the cheering squad because everyone is doing it. But it's not like something that you feel like, one day, one time, I'll become. Of course, you talk about it because your brother is already known. But for you, believing that you can become, or you can do it, it was not there.
Did you at some point doubt yourself, knowing very well what you used to do before? Because many people I've talked to, sometimes when they come out from that place into this other place of light, even if you're publicly accepted, that private battle. Is there a time where you thought, do I deserve to do this? Am I worth it?
Yeah, and that's another journey again, because after leaving the gang, of course they don't allow you to live a free life. They'll always chase after you because they know you know a lot of their secrets. So I had those moments whereby those attempts on my life so many times, but of course I sailed through, and I thank God for that. And even when I started doing music, I didn't have the confidence, because I thought, number one, everyone was looking at my eye and thought, because by that time you think music is about looks and all that. And then eventually the biggest challenge was everyone thought I'm just doing music because my brother is doing music. Because at that moment, my brother is already successful. He has his album, and his album is one of the biggest albums at that time.
Yes, sir.
You get? So everyone was like, he can sing, but we are named kwa ajili ya brother yake. So it took me longer for guys to look at me as an artist on his own. Because of course I was under his shadow, which can be a very good thing, but it can be your undoing if you're not careful.
Especially with such a big personality.
With such a big personality.
Allow me to take you back and just ask a quick question and we move on, because I want to concentrate on your glory.
Yeah.
In your other life, were you ever in a place where somebody lost their life? Not your gang.
Yeah.
A victim.
That's story for another day.
Okay. Now, let's go to your glory.
Yes.
Then, of course, now you release music, you become big, you've gone all over, won awards in Africa, continental awards. Okay? Of course, that is the turning point. That is God now glorifying himself through you. Yeah. And then, of course, along the way, is there a point, did you ever get to a place where you're in a public podium and somebody says, hey, wachana na umse wewe alikuwanga mkora? And then have doors been closed because of that?
Those were many, because number one, even for us Christians, sometimes it's really hard to trust someone just because we see those moments. You can see a lady, maybe she was a prostitute, and then she turns her life and she joins a church,
and we judge them.
Because of course your first mentality will be like, hey, she's a sex addict. You understand? So even you as a man, you think she's an easy target. If even you are struggling with sex, and of course you're just in the closet, you're just hiding yourself in church,
right?
But even you're struggling in sex. So each and every moment you'll be looking at her and imagining the moments. So it means in the first place you're already judging her, and she moved from that life to a new life. So of course the first people who were in my life at that moment when I shared my story, they were looking at me weirdly and differently. And of course there are those who still believe like this guy, maybe he still has the
tabia za huko nje.
Yeah.
Okay.
You understand? And of course those tabias zinaku affect, because I remember even when I transformed to become a gospel artist, it was a battle to always remember that I need to be cultured. I need to be, you understand? Mm-hmm. I need to be humble. I need to look at things differently, because unajua ile umangaya street, you find yourself, you still bring it to the church. You've gone somewhere, a pastor has not paid you, you walk away with the amplifier and you go home with it. You understand those things? We used to do a lot of those things.
What was your name when you were in crime? Sasa tunakujua kama Papa Fololo, sijui mtu wa pamba nyepesi, pamba mzito. Did you have a name at that time?
No, of course names are given as permissions.
Okay, give us one name.
They can't use your real name. The boss, of course, on that day.
The boss.
Yeah, anawapatia jina ya mission, because mwezi itana jina zenyu kwa.
Unaweza kumbuka jina yote?
Ziko mob, lakini sitaki kusema because
utakueleza watu. Tupe tu moja tu tafadhali.
When I say, okay, nilikuwa toa Saha. So Omo wanajua. Nikisema Saha wanajua ni nini.
Okay.
Yeah. You remember there's a player called
Louis Saha.
Yeah, Louis Saha. So nilikuwa toa Saha.
Mbona mnaribia watu wa jina? Okay, fine. I want you to look at this camera.
Yeah.
And because I want a young man. Many parents get in touch with me saying, help my son, I see him going the wrong direction. But I want you to look at this camera, because you have been in crime. Now you are serving the Lord deeply. But that young man is at a crossroad, Speak to that man from your heart.
The most important thing as a young person you need to understand is when you meet people who want to give you guidance, they've been there. They know what they're talking about. So it's important for us, number one, you as a person, to listen to them and understand where they're coming from. They know more than you. They've been there. They understand what you're going through at the moment. Like for me, even if right now I meet a young person, I know the adrenaline, the passion, the energy that you have at this moment. But I will advise you that it's good to have that energy. It's good to have that greenness to want to know so many things. But you need to be very careful to understand that not all roads lead to Rome, the way they say it. There are others, if you're not careful, they lead you to a place where you always regret and you wonder, how did I end up here? So the best thing to understand is, as a guardian or as a parent or someone who really wants to mentor you or guide you, it's good for you to just listen to them because they know better than you. Then number two is just understand that life has stages and steps. That's why you went to class 1, class 2, class 3. You didn't jump from class 1 to class 5. There's a process in everything. And for you to want to become that person you want to become, just understand that you have to walk this journey and go step by step. And then one day, one time, you'll arrive where you want to go. It's very important to understand that there's a process to everything. And that's the most important thing. As a young person, you need to understand that. And then lastly, just understand that God has a plan for you. Don't rush his plans. His plan, of course, is to make sure that you succeed. Christ died for you and me, for us to have life in abundance. And this abundance is equal to Hapa. It's just for us to understand that God loves us and God cares for you and understands that where you are right now, there's a process you must go through, and then one day you'll arrive to your destiny.
Wow.
Yeah.
He says some of the things that remind him of the past that he deeply regrets is that he lost his eye. But we thank God that he's here to give his story. If you continue in crime, to every young man, you may not get a chance to give your story.
Of course.
So while you can, please walk away from it. And let me tell you, go back to the trenches and help others, because crime does not pay. See you in a bit. Daddy Owen, what is the most interesting thing that you own?
Interesting thing that I own? What? That's a very hard question. My shades.
Number 2, what was your first job?
My first job, kubeba mizigo crossing Mtindwa from Buruburu to Umoja.
What compliment do you receive most?
Compliment I receive most? That I'm humble, I don't know.
Who would you say is your favorite Kenyan old school artist?
Kenyan old school artist? My God, ni wengi. What?
Okay, my God, it is. What is your fondest childhood memory?
Fondest childhood memory, playing football kwa kiwanja yetu hapo home.
What are you most scared of?
Dying without a purpose.
You support Real Madrid. What is the name of the captain of Real Madrid?
Right now we don't have a captain. It's Marcelo. Our captain was Sergio Ramos, but he just left, so we are left with our assistant captain, who is Marcelo.
What is your dream car?
My dream car? What? I don't know.
Using one word, what would you associate the word success with?
Success is doing one word.
Yes,
Good
sir.
of God.
What advice can you give to a young artist trying to get into the music industry?
You need to know why you're doing it.
Tell our viewers you love them in Kiluya.
Abantu bosi ndabayanza sana ndo Mluya khunda Kakamega.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much for spending time with me, Robert Borale, your coach and your friend, and of course the great man Papa Fololo.
Uncle Mutulele.
Hallelujah. This has been and this is the
Oh Man
Show. Thank you very much and see you next week.